Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome. For our next face-to-face, I have with me our guest Dushyant Dave, who is a highly regarded legal luminary. Very recently, he has resigned from the legal service after serving for more than 4 decades. He has also served as the president of the Supreme Court Bar Association for 3 terms, and he has also served on governing boards of prestigious bodies like International Council for Commercial Arbitration and London Court of International Arbitration. So today I'm going to discuss with him on why he resigned and his future plans, about his legal journey, challenges before judiciary, collegium system, threat to constitution, judiciary and minority rights, demand for removal of secular and socialist word from the preamble, in-house mechanism for judicial misconduct, declining people faiths in judiciary, and above all on judicial reforms. Welcome, sir, to our next episode of Expert Insights. Pleasure to have you in our show. Sir, to begin with, I would like to know what prompted you to consider quitting legal services after more than 4 decades of practice, and what is next in your mind, if you can tell us. You have decided your retirement plan, but India still needs your service.
Well, I have I have retired. I mean, not retired, but I have quit active legal practice.
Yeah.
So when I enjoyed being a lawyer for 48 years, I have got a lot from my experiences as a lawyer. I have enjoyed it thoroughly for all these years. I have been able to in my own small way contribute to protecting rule of law, helping people who were denied justice in this country, helping litigants in other ways. So it was a great journey. But I felt that I must, after all these years, perhaps take a break from active legal practice and do something else which I would enjoy in my life. So I have many passions: reading, music, playing golf, playing with my grandchildren, traveling. I want to pursue those, and of course, I want to do some social work. In my home district of Vadodara in Gujarat. So I will try and do that also, so that I can help people with some problems that people face about housing, health, and other issues. So this is all preliminary, but idea was really to take a break from something which you have actively, it's not easy to practice for 48 years, and it really takes a toll on your mind and on your body. So I thought that I have had enough, and I must therefore free myself and devote more towards myself. So that was really the joy. But I'm not going away from public life, in the sense that I will be continuing to write on public issues, on constitutional issues. I will be engaging in dialogues with people like you, and on televisions and other mediums, social media platforms. And that's something which is my my passion, my commitment to the country and to my countrymen. So that I'm definitely not going to give up. Maybe I might write a book or so, but let's see. Too early. It's been just 3 days, and I'm enjoying this freedom. So right now I will confine it to relaxing for some days.
Okay, sir. Sir, just for our viewers, can you share some notable highlights and remarkable highlights from your legal journey, including your experience as the president of the Supreme Court Bar Association? As we know, your starting was very struggling. You struggled a lot when you started the legal profession.
This has been a very long journey, and I have been fortunate that in this long journey, I had to engage in cases which were extremely diverse, and defending. Sometimes, I mean, I defended government of Gujarat way back in the early 80s, appearing for government solicitor firms in the hundreds of cases for almost 1.5 years, which really gave me confidence, exposure, and knowledge. Of course, thereafter, I branched out into corporate laws. And then the journey began about public laws, constitutional laws, and public interest litigation, and in helping people who really were denied justice, deprived of their rights, and helping them. So those cases really have been immense. Maybe I must have done 500, 600, 700 cases free of charge, pro bono, helping all kinds of people, helping judges, in their promotional issues, helping lawyers who were wanting to become judges and were being denied, helping minority community members, be it in related to the Sikh riots, the Gujarat riots, or the Christian community in the country, helping activists, helping opposition party leaders, helping poor people, farmers, for example, the farm laws agitation. It was, legally I was helping them immensely on hour-to-hour basis. And the entire farm organizations had put their faith in me, thanks to Mr. Fulka and other friends, who all have great faith in me. So there were all kinds of people one could help in life. And these cases really, I would say, yes, professional cases which gain you fees, good fees, they were always enjoyable. But the cases where I could do service to people at large, my countrymen, they were more enjoyable. And I got a lot of satisfaction. I got a lot of blessings. I got a lot of love and affection from people. So that really was a remarkable, I would say, journey. Then, of course, as president of the Supreme Court Bar Association, it was a fantastic time. We could, make the association really very strong. We got in 2015-16 in my first stint. Actually, the SCBA became so acceptable across the country that it received a completely new recognition. And I could raise many, public issues through the platform of the SCBA, and those issues which were so important, including, for example, the armed forces were agitating about OROP, and we went to Jantar Mantar and stood with the army men to, say that we as executive body of the SCBA are willing to stand with you and help you legally. Then, of course, as a president, I had the privilege of helping almost over 700 lawyers who were not getting their homes in Greater Noida in the housing complex which SCBA was, Supreme Court Bar Association Society was building. It was delayed by 7 years. And I must say, to great satisfaction and I would say joy, that I could complete that project, within no time and hand over possession to all those lawyers with the help of my entire team. My executive committee then was outstanding. My vice president Shekhar, my secretary Ms. Aishwarya Bhati, my treasurer Rajesh Pathak, and other members. We worked tirelessly to ensure that these people who are deprived of their homes were given homes as quickly as possible. And for the first time, I could get for the lawyers in Supreme Court, which was amazing, a bar room, because it is inconceivable that in a court premises, there will be no bar room for lawyers. If you go to any court in India, smallest court to the highest court, there will be a bar room where lawyers would sit, chit chat, and even meet their clients, have a cup of coffee. We didn't have one in Supreme Court till Justice Thakur became Chief Justice and I became president for the first time. And I mentioned to Chief Justice Thakur, he was surprised, and he instantly, organized it. I mean, hats off to Chief Justice Thakur, who could do it overnight, gave me space, and we gave a beautiful bar room. We also expanded ladies' bar room. But what we did, something remarkable, was for the first time in the history of Supreme Court, or for that matter, any court premises in India, we created a space for litigants. Because I told Chief Justice Thakur and his collegium members, Justice Dave and Justice Kher, that our institution depends on litigants. So from a poorest man to the richest man, they come to Supreme Court. From a farmer to a businessman or a technocrat, or to an IAS officer, to a military man, to a police officer, or a trade union leader, a teacher, doctor, everybody comes to Supreme Court. There is no place for them to sit. And judges were surprised. They said, what is the solution? I said, we must create a space. So we created a litigants' lounge for them. And that litigants' lounge is outstanding. I mean, the way Chief Justice Thakur had it, executed was unbelievable. And it is today become a landmark. Very few people know that such a landmark exists in Supreme Court. But if you go and see it, it is a great, space. And it has been availed by thousands and thousands of people in last about 7-8 years. So as a president, that was a great, we started lecture series, invited top people to deliver lecture. on constitution, on training of young lawyers. We had programs which was done by Professor Madhav Menon, one of India's greatest legal academician and jurists. So we could do, intensive training for lawyers for 3 days. So as a president, it was a great time. We could really achieve a lot. So journey has been very enjoyable for 48 years. And it has been rewarding because I've got so much of affection and love from people, from the members of the bar, from public at large, from the bench, that there are no words to express gratitude to them. I mean, it is really amazing. And I have no doubt that those blessings have helped me in my life, becoming so more cheerful and happy.
The love and affection was so great that the most of the people were shocked when they came to know that you are quitting from the legal profession after spending 48 years. So the next question, if I ask, when you look at judiciary today, after serving for 40 years, what makes you happy and what troubles you the most, if you can answer?
It's a mixed bag. I have immense respect for judiciary, as everybody knows, and I'm a judge's son. I have been brought up to respect judiciary, and I do believe that judiciary in a democracy, and particularly under our constitution, has a place of pride. And it has a great role and a great obligation and duty upon itself, especially to protect the fundamental rights and the constitutional rights and constitutional way of governance in the country. So judiciary, therefore, has been given a place of great responsibility by constitutional framers. Dr. Ambedkar was very clear that if we were to give constitutional rights and fundamental rights, there must be a mechanism where these rights can be enforced by citizens. And that's why they created Article 32, giving Supreme Court obligation to enforce fundamental rights. They gave high courts the power also to uphold the constitution and fundamental rights. So this mechanism has been created. Yeah. And, in the first, I would say 30 years of Supreme Court's existence in the 50s, 60s and 70s, Supreme Court was extremely, conscious of those obligations. And they have said repeatedly that this obligation casts a duty upon us to really aid and help the citizens. Over the years, last 30 years again, or 40 years, I think Supreme Court is changing its jurisprudence, which is unfortunate because it no longer feels that they have a duty to protect citizens' fundamental rights. And Supreme Court shies away, or shuns citizens from approaching the Supreme Court because it is afraid that there'll be a lot of burden of work on the Supreme Court. I feel that that's not a correct approach. Constitution makes it obligatory for them, and they should therefore act. They shouldn't just relegate parties to high courts in such matters where clearly fundamental rights are violated. So Supreme Court, to that extent, in last 40 years, has diluted its own position, its own status. And as a result, I would say it has, reduced its own respect amongst the people in the country. So Supreme Court, but it is trying, it's a mixed bag. In many areas, Supreme Court has done well. It is also laying down some kind of new law, as we saw in Vishaka, against sexual harassment of women in the country, in workplaces, and many other issues. Environmental law, they have made a great contribution. But when it comes to upholding the fundamental rights and the constitutional, position or constitutional morality, I feel Supreme Court has really taken a back step, and I am not very happy about that. But then I think you can't expect everything from the institution. So it's been somewhat disappointing, I would say. I am a bit disillusioned with that, and I hope and trust that in years and decades to come, Supreme Court will perhaps realign itself and ensure that these constitutional obligations are performed to the hilt in letter and spirit. So that's what it is.
So in the last 4 decades, during your career, have you seen Indian judiciary evolve, and what significant changes you have witnessed in the legal profession from the time you joined and till now? Any significant changes?
Supreme Court is part of the society. Judges don't come from Moon and Mars. Yes. They are also part of us. So when we look around in the society, we feel or we see clearly that standards have fallen.
Yeah.
I mean, I must say that one feels, and maybe I'm little, people may say that I'm cynical in that view, but this country has become a country of mediocrity. Excellence is now, is becoming a rare commodity. And we are encouraging this or rewarding this mediocrity. So judiciary also has suffered as a result of this, mediocrity which has set in public life. It is also there in private life. It's not just in public life. Today, if I want a good stenographer or a good secretary, I'm unable to find, even if I were to pay a very handsome salary, because there are no standards left. So, I mean, and people are, becoming graduates without really learning truly what the education is about. So, and sincerity is not there, which used to be there with people once upon a time. Commitment is not there. Integrity to a great extent is suffered because all of us are running towards materialism. All of us are therefore, wanting to have a better life without actually realizing that we owe an obligation to the country. And therefore, we should not just look at materialism. Of course, materialism is part of our life. I'm not against it. I love materialism myself. I'm a capitalist at heart, but I'm a socialist by my deeds. And, that's something which is important for people to understand, that there's nothing wrong about making money, but you must make it in a right way, not in a wrong way. And so over the years, judiciary has suffered. It is not been able to have the best of the people as judges, and they are definitely not as competent as they were when I first became a lawyer in 1978. Those judges were outstanding, and slowly after the 80s, this crop of judges who are coming, some of them are outstanding, but many of them, I would say, are mediocre, and they have therefore not really done a great service to the country. So that is one aspect which is troublesome, that efficiency in judiciary has seriously come down. Secondly, there is a serious challenge of corruption in judiciary, which nobody wants to talk, much less address. Yeah. And successive chief justices have failed. Governments are not interested in tackling it. So, and third, of course, the judges are becoming ideological, whether it is ideology of, ism. Some judges are socialists, some judges are capitalists, some judges are communists, as many judges were in the 70s and early 80s. And there is also now political ideology, which is, coming in the decision making of these judges. There is also a fear factor which is prevailing in the country, which was there during Mrs. Gandhi's time, and it is now, existing in today's times. So all that has, I would say, collectively, all these factors have made judiciary less and less effective, and therefore it's not able to do real, justice delivery, which it was expected to do as constitutional framers wanted it to be done. And then, of course, the most serious challenge that judiciary today facing is that the bar has become weaker and weaker. The quality of lawyers is suffering. We are not assisting judges properly. And the pressure of work, sheer pressure of work on judges is immense. So you don't, blame judges for that, because they can't, in these circumstances, it is impossible to work for every judge to handle 100 or 200 matters a day. And, this burden of 5.5 crore pending cases in the country, including some 80,000 cases in Supreme Court, is weighing on the judges. It's therefore reflecting on the quality of the decision-making process, the hearing process, and ultimate judgments. So all these factors, I would say, have made judiciary, I would say, a much weaker institution than what it was conceived to be and what it was in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And real challenge is that we are not willing to address it. Unless we address it at the highest level within the judiciary itself, the bar and bench have to sit together, put their heads together, and try and resolve. That effort, I see, singularly is missing. So, but let's hope and pray that in young generation of lawyers who are coming today are outstanding. They are very well academically trained, and I hope that they have the value system and they will be able to help judiciary become stronger in years to come.
So in the recent past, we have seen that the rights of women, Dalits and minorities have been encroached upon from time to time. How can the judiciary be made more sensitive to the issues like women, Dalit, and minorities' rights, particularly bulldozer injustice, hate speeches, lynching, and so on?
A judge, I have always believed that a judge can be a good judge only if he has empathy in his heart.
Yeah.
If a judge does not have empathy in his heart, if he's not a passionate judge, then he doesn't make a good judge. Now, the challenges facing in this country, women, Dalits, and the minorities, together they comprise almost 80 or 85% of the population.
Yeah.
And if we don't appoint judges who are sensitive to their problems, their challenges, the judiciary cannot address these problems in a proper way. So unfortunately, the appointments are not being made in that sense. I mean, today women must be 50% population of the population. We have now only one judge, lady judge in the Supreme Court. She's outstanding judge, Justice Nagaratna. But then one lady judge is not sufficient. You must have at least proper representation. We don't have. I mean, Chief Justice Gawai is himself a Dalit, an outstanding judge. But we need more Dalit judges in the Supreme Court to understand the problems of the Dalits. We need more judges from the minority community who understand and who can uphold the rights of the minority. Because the constitutional status given to the minority is being diluted by governments today, which are which has a rightist approach, and they therefore feel that these rights which are given to the minority community under the constitution were not properly given. Now, I don't think we have a right to judge the constitutional framers. Whatever they did it with a great vision for the country, and they had future of this country and in their hearts and in their minds, and they therefore created these provisions. So these provisions have to be guarded very seriously, very jealously. That is where Supreme Court and high courts are, I think, stepping back and not doing real justice. So all these issues require serious introspection on the part of the bar and the bench. We have to sit together to sort out, because the governments have their own way of functioning. They have political compulsions. So they may like to do things which may not be very conducive to helping women, Dalits, or minority community members. But judiciary has to be above that. It is not bothered about political considerations. It's only bothered about constitutional considerations. That here is a constitution which has protected, I mean, equality, for example, Article 14. Men and women are, must have equal rights. You can't discriminate them. There is a clear provision against any kind of a discrimination on gender, on caste, on class, on religion. Anywhere discrimination is prohibited under the Constitution. So, that provision has to be given effect to in every action that government takes. If it falls foul of that provision, Supreme Court or High Courts must come down heavily. So there is enough, power under the Constitution. But unfortunately, that power is not being exercised as much as I would like them to exercise.
Yeah. So you have remained very vocal about the collegium system's failure. How do you think judicial appointments can be improved to ensure that the best talent is selected for the higher judiciary?
It is impossible to find now a mechanism which can really make the best of the appointments. Because as I said, now, all kinds of small considerations are weighing in every kind of an appointment that is made by the governments. Yeah. It's not just the judges, but also, constitutional positions of, governors and president and CAG and heads of investigating agencies or heads of, the bureaucracy, cabinet secretary, appointments of law officers like attorney generals, advocate generals. In every one of these appointments, now small considerations are weighing in. Larger consideration, what is larger good for the country is, taking a backstage. Nobody is bothered about that. Everybody looks at the shortcuts. I mean, political parties don't have, long-term view of the country. They are interested in power and perpetuating that power. So that is what has crept in every walk of life in the society. And even in private sector, it is. I mean, a large number of private sectors would appoint people on considerations otherwise than merit. And I mean, there are pockets of excellence. So take, for example, technology sector. TCS, Wipro, and Infosys will not make any appointment which is not meritorious. But there are many other, large corporations which may do it for small considerations. So this is a unique problem that India is facing. And maybe because we don't have the right pool of people whom we can recruit, but appointment of judges, especially High Court and Supreme Court judges, under the collegium system has, I would say, been extremely poor. And my own view is that the appointments made by the executives, prior to 1992 judgment of the Supreme Court in second judge's case, were far more better than what the appointments have been in last about 40 years, 45 years. So that is a sad commentary on the judiciary, because they grabbed the power from the under the constitution from the executive to themselves, and decided to appoint and constituted this collegium system. But I don't think collegium system has worked satisfactorily at all. And large number of incompetent judges, large number of corrupt judges have come in, along with, of course, large number of honest and competent judges. But you can't have even a single corrupt or an inefficient judge in the system. If he is there, it's like a rotten apple. Yeah. So it spoils everything else. So people are therefore deprived of justice in a right sense. So that has been a big challenge. I'm a strong advocate that we must have a better system, but I don't think I have a solution as to which system will be better. Because if men are not good, then however many systems you create, they are going to be manned by men, us. And if we don't have honest intention, if we don't love our country, and if we don't want to take decisions only in larger interest of the country, nothing can be done about it.
Sir, keeping in mind the development in the Justice Verma case, what are your views on the in-house investigative mechanism and how it can further be improved? Can the Chief Justice of India play a more proactive role in addressing judicial misconduct and promoting accountability? And are you satisfied with the way Justice Verma case has been handled so far?
I am a strong believer that corruption in judiciary has to be rooted out with strong hands. And of course, independence of judiciary has to be maintained at the same time, so that false allegations of corruption against judges are not made. Now, therefore, in Justice Verma's case, prima facie, it looks that there was money found. And if it is so, the Chief Justice should satisfy himself that the money has been found, and does Justice Verma have a satisfactory explanation? If he does not, then Chief Justice should immediately allow the executive to file an FIR against him. And if necessary, judges like them should be arrested. If a small government employee for taking a bribe of 100, 200 rupees is arrested, even a top bureaucrat can be arrested, for on allegations of bribe, prima facie allegations of bribery, then why not judges? We can't put judges, on some special pedestal and say, oh, however corrupt they are, we can't, take action against them because independence of judiciary will be compromised. No. In fact, by taking this kind of a stand, we are compromising the very integrity of the institution of judiciary. And that is something which we have to seriously introspect and ponder, both judges and lawyers, that we can't allow this nonsense to go on. Everybody knows what's happening in the judiciary. These are not isolated instances. There are a large number of judges who are corrupt, along with those large number of honest judges. But large number of honest judges suffer because of these, corrupt judges. So a mechanism has to be found. And once Chief Justice of India is satisfied about allegations against a High Court or a Supreme Court judge prima facie, he must allow the normal, ordinary course of law to be followed. And that is where I think I am not in agreement with this, that this, long winded impeachment process is the only solution. No, that is a constitutional solution. But constitutional framers never had conceived that our High Court judges and Supreme Court judges will face such serious allegations of wrongdoing. So I think we have to find a mechanism. Let's hope and pray that they do.
So how would you like to respond to critics who argue that the judiciary is overstepping and interfering with the executive's authority Earlier, there was debate on the supremacy of judiciary and parliament, and many legal luminaries, including Justice Madan Rukar and present Chief Justice of India, Justice Gavai, have repeatedly said that neither judiciary nor parliament, but constitution is supreme. As we all know, CGI is not well. We wish him to recuperate soon. So these days, some people are also demanding to remove secular and socialist from the preamble. How would you like to respond to that?
On the first question, let us understand one thing, that Constitution is suprema lex. It's a document which really is the most crucial for our democracy. And, in making that Constitution, the Constituent Assembly and the drafting committee spent almost 2.5 years. They have given us one of the finest documents that can ever be conceived of by jurists, across the world. It's a beautiful, beautiful document. And we must therefore not tinker with it directly or indirectly. So without amending the Constitution, what is happening today in the country, that constitutional provisions and fundamental rights are being diluted, which should be done. We should be very conscious that we have an obligation not only to the present generation, but we have obligation towards the future generations of the Indians who are yet to be born and come, in centuries to come. We must therefore protect them by, ensuring that this document is preserved in its letter and spirit. Now, that is, when that does not happen and the executive or parliament start, taking actions or passing laws which are unconstitutional, which violate fundamental rights, the Supreme Court and the High Courts have duty to step in and declare that they are unconstitutional. They are void. And therefore, that's the role which has been assigned to them under the Constitution. So I am not willing to say that Parliament is superior or Judiciary is superior. Every one of the three organs, Executive, Judiciary, and Parliament, are under the Constitution. And each one must remain within its realms, within its limits. If any one of them transgresses, the other has a right to step in and check it. That's what checks and balance system is under the Constitution. So I feel that because increasingly there is serious erosion of governance in the country since Mrs. Gandhi came into power, and I hold Mrs. Gandhi's government responsible for that erosion, and it is continuing. It's not stopped. So that erosion has led to a situation where unless and until Supreme Court and High Court step in to help the people to ensure that people who are suffering at the hands of the executive get justice, I think that's the right thing to do. So they are only filling in the vacuum created by the executive itself or by the parliament in a given case. So there is nothing wrong about judiciary. I don't think that judiciary is overreaching its limits. This is its limit. This is its duty. And it's performing that duty, beautifully. I don't think either the parliament or the executive should comment on judiciary's, role and judiciary's actions. I think all these actions are completely justified. Take, for example, environment. I mean, but for judiciary's intervention, when Justice Verma and Justice Kripal passed that order way back and said that, forests are untouchable, our executive, our parliamentarians, our politicians would have sold off our forests completely and, left this country bereft. After all, these are gifts of God. And not only the present generation, but the future generations are entitled to enjoy the benefits of this beautiful wealth that God has given to us. So judiciary stepped in and stopped that, nothing doing. You will not touch forests unless you follow this procedure and take permission. You must justify the actions. So that's something which this is one example. There are thousands of other examples where judiciary is stepping in, where government fails. So I think that's the correct approach, and I commend judiciary, especially Supreme Court and High Courts, that they have really rightly stepped in to correct the government, to stop the government from abusing their powers or acting unconstitutionally and illegally.
Thanks, Shah, for sharing your perspective. We wish you good luck for your next journey. We'll be back next time with another expert. Thanks for watching. Take care. Keep your environment clean. Goodbye.